We're live, and you got a special surprise, man. I gotta be filling in for my guy Sticks, who is live in Miami, locked in a hotel room somewhere, crunching lineups right now. So, wishing him the best, man. He's got a real shot to take down millions of dollars. Like me and Ghost have a shot to take down $1 million, but he has like a real shot to take down $1 million. So, good luck to you, Sticks. If you're listening, hope you're not listening because I don't want to be blamed for any hot takes that I might have in the next hour that has you pivot. I usually have me pivoting to you and Ghost's plays, but I don't want you watching, man. You do your thing. You rock out by yourself, and maybe your fiance gives you the strong play, and you got to share that money with her. So good luck down in Miami, man. But we're here breaking down this Week 15 slate. There's a lot of red in your lineups, probably because you're going to lock in Cooper Kupp or lock in a lot of players that are now forced into Monday or Tuesday night games. I'm rocking the red hat. There's only a couple of these ghosts. I sent one to John Jansen because he's from Philly. I'm like, he might rock this hat once in a while. Never rocks the hat. I haven't seen him rock a Win Daily hat. So, if you see John Jansen in the street, take that hat because he don't rock it. And I got the only other one. So, it might be an Arizona Cardinals day, so I'm rocking that. Ghost, how you feeling, man? I know you're recovering from a Christmas spectacular in Canada, so hope you're doing well, buddy.
Yeah, I'm doing well, man. Thank you. Good luck, Sticks. I see him updating projections, so the guy's dialed in right now. So I'm not even gonna text or anything like that. But the guy's absolutely locked in. 2 hours till lock. So good luck, buddy. We'll see you next week with 7 figures added to your already ridiculous winnings this season. So I really like this slate. There's a couple good spots that we need to be able to get exposure to. So you make sure you guys go and check out both the cash and GPP articles. There's Adam's game by game breakdown. There's Jay's tight ends. There's quarterbacks and stacks by Jared this week. There's so much info that we have on a week-to-week basis. So make sure you guys are please reading those articles. And with the player pool being so small, you'll see quite a bit of overlap in both cash and GPP today. So got to get it right.
Yeah, so let's get it kicked off, man. We got the Cowboys and the Giants. Cowboys favored by 11.5. You got Mike Glennon back at quarterback for the Giants. Look, on the Giants side, Ghost, I know the Cowboys are your team, so I'll let you talk about your Cowboys. But from the Giants side, there's only one guy that's playable. I don't know if I in love with him. I haven't had any shares. I built 5 liners prior coming onto the show late last night after series, and I don't have any Saquon. I had a couple shares last week. Look, he can go out there and do it, and running back is so weak this week, man. With everybody coming off the slate, I won't hate the Barkley play. He won't be like my first 5 running backs in, but he's definitely in play. 6.5, pretty safe for that price tag. We can see him in the 7K range if he finishes strong this year. But on the backside, Dallas, I'm so happy Tony Pollard's playing. I really am, because I did not want to get sucked into any Ezekiel Elliott, and with Pollard playing, I don't even have to think about that. So no Zeke for me, no Pollard for me. I know you're going to talk about your boy CeeDee Lamb, but for the most part, I think Dak's the best play in this game overall, but I'm not loading up. But he's just priced right, man, because he's had a couple down games in a row. He's at full strength going against a weak team here in New York. So I think Dak's definitely in play at 6,500. But Ghost, I know this is your team here, man. So what are you looking at here with these Cowboys?
One of my main stocks today are the boys, to the surprise of absolutely nobody.
Nobody.
Two pretty rough weeks back to back for the offense as a unit. It wasn't a Dak thing. It wasn't a pass catcher thing. It wasn't that Zeke's hobbled or anything like that. Just the whole unit overall, the O-line looked a bit slow, especially last week in that matchup. So they got to get things right, and there's no better spot for them to do that than in a divisional game against the Giants. And they dropped 44 on them the last time they met this season, and it's going to be mainly through Dak in the air, right? So we talked about this with the Rams offense when they brought in OBJ, etc. All of these teams now are really shifting their focus to, yes, playoff seeding, and you do have to get locked in and everything like that, obviously. But the most important thing is getting your offense right and making sure that you have all the guys that you need to win a playoff game. They have to be going, right? So you can't have a guy going 2 for 27 the week before an NFC playoff game in the Dallas Cowboys situation. So look for CeeDee Lamb to get absolutely peppered with targets in the slot against Logan Ryan, who's been an absolute disaster this season for the Giants secondary. And then James Bradbury, he had a really good season. And then this year, he just can't string things together. He's being targeted quite a bit. And with nearly 2 fantasy points per target, Amari Cooper on the other side is going to be absolutely peppered with targets. So we know that Michael Gallup's going to be stretching the field. That's going to be his primary role, as it always is. But with Coop that's there, he's not necessarily the safety blanket as he was before CD got drafted, but he's still that big play type of guy for Dak, and he's still Dak's number one target, right? They've spent quite a few seasons together. Jerry absolutely loves Coop, and ownership loves him. Everyone loves him. And Dak absolutely loves throwing the ball to Amari Cooper, and he has a great matchup against James Bradbury. And then on paper, a couple seasons ago, he would say, man, I don't want to attack that matchup. But with the way that Bradbury's been playing this season, Coop can absolutely demolish him today. And, a couple weeks coming out of COVID protocols, he's back to full health now. He should be good to go. They need to get CD and Coop going through the air, because if Zeke is going to be this banged up in the playoffs, Dak's going to have to throw for 400 for them to win a playoff game. And that's exactly what they plan on doing today.
Yeah, it's tough, man. Look, I like the Dak call. CeeDee Lamb is the clear number one, but Amari Cooper, he's going to be slept on, man, with wide receiver being so weak here. He's only coming in under 10%, around 8% owned right now. So definitely a situation that you can load a Cowboy stack. And I don't think you have to run it back with any Giants here. This is an in-division game. They're going to, try to stick it to him here. So I'm not against any of these plays. And are you with me with no Zeke, no Tony Pollard? You're not messing with the running side of Dallas?
Yeah, so even in the GBP article, I think my exact words were that I'm all in on the Packers and Cowboys aerial attacks. Like for me, before we even get to that game, I'll touch more about it when we get to the Packers game. But I'm out on Aaron Jones, AJ Dillon, the combination for the Green Bay, and I'm out on Tony Pollard and Zeke. So no real exposure to the backfields of my main offenses today. That's where I'm going more with my mini stacks. And today it's all in on Dak Prescott and a ridiculously low rostered Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, love Rodgers. We'll get there in a minute, but we got to stay to these trash games first. It's the New York Jets. Look, don't play any Jets, man. I know some people want to play some Michael Carter. Go ahead and play him. I don't think it's a terrible play. And I'm not here to sell anybody off any picks, but these Jets, like every time I try to get cute and I listen to somebody, it just backfires because they can't move the ball here. I don't know, what the weather's going to be down in Miami. It's going to be sloppy and wet. But on the Miami side, a lot of people are rostering Tua. I'm not a Tua guy. I'll never be a Tua guy. If he goes out there and he drops 20, more power to everybody who roster him. I'll lose, not having him at 5.7. I think he's fine, but I'm not going to go there. And then interesting enough, with what shook out with the running back situation, Gaskin, Ahmed, I'm not in love with it either, man. Like they're priced right, running back so cheap, makes sense, but I'm more Gesicki and Parker. Parker just works, man. At 4.3, you're getting a wide receiver one going against the New York Jets. What else can you really ask for? It's probably the safest of wide receiver plays in the value territory right now. And then Gesicki, I love the tight end position. There's so many tight ends that I can roster. A couple of ones I really like were Higbee and Everett, and they got pushed to, a Tuesday slate. And don't think about that as a bad thing. Think about it that we have Saturday football, Sunday football, Monday football, Tuesday football. So we got football pretty much every single day for the next couple of days. So that's the positive there. But, Gesicki and Parker, I'll have one of those guys pretty much in every lineup or most lineups here. I think they're in a great spot against the Jets. If you want to take a shot at Michael Carter, go right ahead, 4.7. He makes sense, but nobody from the passing attack for the Jets. And then the Miami defense always makes sense. Anytime the Jets line up, if you can afford a defense against them, that's actually good. Like the Dolphins, they're ball hawks. They make plays. I like the Dolphins defense. So it's really only on the Dolphins side for me, but goes to, are you more positive on Michael Carter or these Dolphins running backs at all?
It's a catch-22 because you have a running back that you need to further his development, but at the same time where he's a little banged up and he's a little sick, and it's just the Jets have nothing to play for. So that's where, Jets coaching staff, OC and head coach both said that, I'd expect a lot of Michael Carter. You want to make sure that he ends the season well. And you guys know we always play rookie running backs towards the end of the season, especially on losing teams and coming off of bye weeks. That's the best spot to target rookie running backs. We saw it with DeAndre Swift a couple of years ago. We saw it with Javonte Williams this season. We've seen it with time in and time out. Jonathan Taylor last year too. Like it's just it's the two spots where we absolutely love playing rookie running backs. For me this week, I'm not playing much Michael Carter. The rostership is way too high for me to play him in GPPs. And getting a 15 to 20% rostered Michael Carter just because a coach said that he's going to get work, for me, it's just not justifiable there. So I'm not playing any Jets. I rarely do ever play a New York Jet. I don't even think I played a New York Jet ever this season. So I'm going to stick to that. I'm sticking to that because I don't know how you guys root for this team. Then again, I'm a Cowboys fan, so it's what it is. But you absolutely nailed it with Devontae Parker and Mike Gesicki. Like I wrote both of them up in both cash and GPP guys. And the main reason why I didn't write up Tua is it is exactly because I'm playing one of those two guys in every single lineup, right? So I do lean Gesicki just because everyone knows the way that I feel about the tight end position, and that's the spot to be able to get different. And Gesicki and Kittle are likely going to be rostered by half the field today. Their combined rostership's likely going to touch 50%, but that's okay because for me, I'm not going to try and get too cute with it because playing guys like Amari Cooper, playing guys like CeeDee Lamb when the rest of the field is going with other guys, that's how I'm going to be able to get different in tournaments. So for me to be able to roster as much Mike Gesicki as I can, I'm essentially not rostering a tight end. You're getting a 6'6" slot wide receiver. It's just the matchup is way too good. And when you look at Tua, he's not airing it out as much as he was at Bama. We saw these ridiculous 80-yard touchdowns with the wide receiver corps that he had at Bama, of course. And now his ADOT is ridiculously low. And it has been since he came into the league. Devontae Parker is more of a big play guy. So for me, it's going to be Mike Gesicki with Jalen Waddle out. Waddle got absolutely peppered with targets on a week-to-week basis pretty much since midway through the year. And now it's Mike Gesicki in the slot that's going to be able to get all of that. So I'm running a ton of Gesicki and I'm playing no Tua just because the upside there is very limited for me. And I need a ridiculously high-scoring quarterback on a slate that has Kyler Murray, Josh Allen, Dak Prescott. It used to have Matt Stafford. It used to have Jalen Hurts, et cetera, right? There are so many good quarterbacks on this slate that I don't really feel a need to be able to punt quarterback. The lowest that I would recommend going is Joe Burrow.
Yeah, so this next game I think is really important for everybody's on it, man. There's a lot of question marks here, but you have an offense that's projected to score 30 points. It's the Arizona Cardinals going against the Detroit Lions. Look, Kyler Murray is up top for me. He's the number one quarterback on the slate. I don't mind Josh Allen. I'm going to probably play more Aaron Rodgers, but as far as the guy that's likely to be the highest scoring quarterback on the slate, I do think it's Kyler Murray, even without DeAndre Hopkins. So I think you got to get some shares of Kyler. Now, that's the easy part. You play some Kyler Murray. The tough part now is at the end of last week, last play of the game, we don't really know what happened to James Conner. We don't know if he's really hurt, if he's not hurt. He was limited, but now he's going to play. He's expected to play. It's a 1 o'clock game. We'll get the confirmation pretty soon here. But if that last play didn't happen and practice reports were good, and you had a 6,400 James Conner coming off a lot of good weeks in a row against, a 29th ranked running defense with the Detroit Lions, he'd probably be the most popular running back on the slate. At 6,400, fairly priced. Guys scoring touchdowns. Game script's going to be in his favor. The Cardinals are favored by 12.5 here, but not only did he get hurt, he was questionable all week, and Kingsbury comes out and says, hey, maybe I shouldn't run James Conner into the ground. I'm trying to win a Super Bowl here. So you really don't know. There's a lot of question marks, but he's expected to play again. So I think ownership will be down on him. He's still in a smash spot. He's fairly priced. Running back is weak, and he's not going to be as popular as guys like James Robinson and Gaskin and other running backs. So I think he is really interesting, and I'm going to play some shares of James Conner. That's a questionable side. Edmonds still in play, 5.1. Kind of interesting. Probably don't get there. And then you got the trio of wide receivers here. AJ Green, Christian Kirk, Rondo Moore. I think you have Green slightly ahead of Kirk, but Kirk is pretty damn close. I don't mind playing both of them together, even without Kyler Murray in, a GPP lineup. And then Rondo Moore could still get a lot of work here and he just needs one, screen press that he breaks to the house and kind of breaks the slate here. So Rondo Moore definitely in play. And we need confirmation on Zack Ertz. I was actually talking to Sticks last night before the series show, and he kind of reminded me that Ertz came up limping, has a hamstring injury. So if he's out or he's severely, hobbled here, gives me even more reason to load up on these wide receivers. So I really like the Arizona side. I don't think you need to run it back with, St. Brown or any of these Lions. I like these guys as one-offs or two pieces into most lineups. You got to play a Cardinal here. I really do think you got to either play Connor or play one or two of these wide receivers. And I loved Ertz coming in, but with that injury to the hamstring, I'm staying away. But Ghost, give me some confidence here with either some Connor or potentially with these wide receivers. And do me a favor and rate these wide receivers, from top to bottom here.
James Conner is my highest exposure running back on the slate.
Ooh, I like that. We don't even talk, man. So I like hearing that because
I
want to sneak him back in.
Yeah, I'll leave it at that. He's the running back I have the highest exposure to, including James Robinson. So
nice.
You guys know me. I'm not playing 40% rostered running backs everywhere. I'll have some, but not everywhere. That's for sure. James Conner is my number one running back today. And Kyler is maybe one of two cash quarterbacks that I'm considering today. So again, you guys need to go check out the article, please. I listed why you need to be playing Kyler Murray in cash today. And for the wideouts, I did rank them as well in the GBP article, so I'll stick to my guns there. I'll say AJ Green number 1, Kirk number 2, and then Rondale Moore at number 3. So DeAndre Hopkins has been one of, if not the most targeted wide receiver in the entire league, pretty much in the last decade, on third downs and what are called high pressure situations. So pretty much any other play that's you need a big play, DeAndre Hopkins is the guy, whether it was his days in Houston or ever since he's joined Arizona. So now that he's gone, it's not pretty. He's been in the league for way too long, but AJ Green takes over that responsibility now over Christian Kirk. So Christian Kirk has more flash, has more upside, more big playability. I get that. But when it comes to pure volume and we're looking at touchdown equity, it's AJ Green all day. So while the flash and the big playability of Christian Kirk certainly gives him a high ceiling, both the touchdown equity and the reliability of AJ Green with his volume, it out edges Kirk for me there. So I'll go Green number 1, Kirk number 2, and then Rondale Moore number 3. And that's the way that I have them exposed as well in my lineups.
Let me just ask you a question, man, because I think Arizona, becomes one of the better stacks on this slate. Are you prioritizing James Conner over the wide receivers, or are you playing like in your, let's talk single entry, GPP build? Is it Conner with AJ Green or Conner by himself? Or are you playing 1, 2, or maybe even 3? I think 3 can still get there. If they put up 30, Conner rushes in for 2. AJ Green goes for 1 touchdown, 7 catches, and then Kirk has a big bomb down the field and he goes over 100 yards or something like that. Well, what's your strategy to loading up on the Cardinals here?
So I have Conner everywhere.
Okay.
And then it's, if I'm riding him solo, I'm riding him solo. And the only player that I paired him with is AJ Green. The only lineups that I have with Christian Kirk, those are my Kyler lineups because I need that big playability for him to really pay off. And I don't want AJ Green catching balls during that case. I don't want James Conner running in touchdowns. I want Kyler running in touchdowns. I want Christian Kirk going for 80-yard bombs, right? So that for me was the script that I laid out. Where I'm playing Kyler, I'm playing Christian Kirk. And where I'm not playing Kyler, I'm playing a whole lot of James Conner today. And he's either flying solo in my lineup or he's paired with AJ Green in some as well. Because both those guys can get there together based on the script that I see playing out. But with Christian Kirk, with like when you're playing a guy like that, it's not a 3.5K punt when Sticks and I call out a 1% MVS and he goes for a 75-yard touchdown, guys. It's not the same play. You're paying you're paying 5.5K for Christian Kirk. You need him to do some serious work in your lineup. So for that, it's not just one 80-yard touchdown. Oh yeah, he has a little flame emoji. Like, no, that's not enough. I need a whole lot of Christian Kirk where I'm playing him. And in order for him to do that, I need Kyler Murray throwing him the football. So that's where I played Kyler in GBPs. I don't have much Kyler in GBPs because of that. It's all Rodgers, all Dak. But where I did play Kyler, it's with Christian Kirk. And I'm just over and over and over again. I need a Russell Wilson x Tyler Lockett style game where everybody else is combined for like 60 yards catching and Christian Kirk just goes like 10 for 180. Yeah. That's the script that I laid out when I'm playing Christian Kirk.
Yeah, I made some single entry builds with Connor, and then I also made some with Green and Kirk together. I do see a path that they can both kind of get 20 on this slate and we'll be okay. And if they go out there and put up, if the Cardinals go out there and put up 35, they can each get 25 and get over 100, and they can be number 1 and number 2 in targets and get there. So I really like the Cardinals side of this. Look, this next game, I told myself all week, I think Deontay Johnson's going to be in a real good spot. I'm going to have him in my main lineup. I don't know if you're on him or you're off him. I think there is a narrative here to play. I think Tomlin is sick of Claypool. I think Roethlisberger is sick of Claypool. I think Adam Strange is sick of Claypool. And most of Pittsburgh is sick of Claypool here. So Deontay Johnson at 7.5. I'm going to try to get as many lineups with Devontae Adams and Deontay Johnson together. Running back being so weak, especially on DraftKings full point PPR, it's going to be tough, man. Like, I like Najee too. Don't get me wrong. I think at the running back spot, there's very little running backs that are guaranteed the touches, guaranteed to at least break double digits as far as, what they're going to do on the field. And Najee's going to be heavily involved. So I won't play any Najee with Deontay. And I got Deontay slightly higher rated than Najee, as crazy as that may sound, just because I think the way to attack Tennessee is more through the air than through the ground here. But Pittsburgh is favored here too. They're 1.5 point favorites. So Najee could have a big game when everybody's playing these cheap running backs, and everybody's loading up on James Robinson, and maybe the Jaguars score 3 points today, or 6, or 12, or 9, or 15. And these Steelers go out there and score 25, 30 points here. So, look, Najee definitely played. Deontay Johnson. I think Freiermuth was a guy that I wasn't looking at all week because there's a lot of other tight ends that, had a better value price, and I liked them better, or slightly up. You can pay for some high-end guys that we're going to talk about soon. But with the slate changing, I do think Freiermuth is definitely in play at 4.5, and everybody's forgotten about him. And he's probably going to be the number 2 target, maybe number 3 target going into the slate today. On the Tennessee side, look, I don't like playing this, running back roulette here with Foreman and Hilliard, so I'm staying away there. Julio Jones, I played him last week. He caught a couple passes, nothing spectacular. So I'm off the Tennessee Titans here. What's your thoughts here, Tennessee and Pittsburgh goes?
This would be a week where I would have 100% Derrick Henry because it's after Thanksgiving and this is a smash spot. But unfortunately, that's not the case. So I'm not playing any Titans because I have way too strong of a loyalty to Derrick Henry. But there is a ton to love in this Pittsburgh offense. I do like the idea of paying up for Najee Harris at a very weak running back position, and where everybody is trying to jam in Devontae Adams and then one of Deontay Johnson or Stephon Diggs. I do like taking the salaries there and flipping them. So going in the 6.5K range of a running back where most of the field is going, I'm going to play a 6.5K wide receiver and use that salary for Stephon Diggs or Deontay Johnson and play Najee Harris. I do like that idea a lot. I do have a ton of Deontay Johnson. I don't see how he gets under 12 targets today. I think he gets over 15 targets today. And I do have, this one's really gross. I have some, I made one of each just in case, but I do like Ray McCloud today at a 3.3K punt. The PPR upside is huge for him at 3.3K. I don't even need him to get in the box. I think the PPR upside is way too big for him with the screen passes that he's doing, and just the routes that he's running are very safe. And Ben was really looking for him last week. So I do like Ray McCloud this week at a 3.3K punt. If you need to jam in multiple studs, that's one of the guys that I'm leaning to.
Yeah, he makes sense. Now, what do you think about this question here? Roethlisberger, man, like
can't go Big Ben in cash. That's a GPP quarterback.
Okay, so that's the answer right there. But I want to talk about Roethlisberger for a second because in that 5K range, you got Tua who's going to be popular. I found myself never clicking Tua. Like, I'm just not a fan of the dude, for DFS purposes. So I like Deontay Johnson. And look, I got some Parker, I got some Gesicki, so I could have easily stacked Tua. But I leaned on Ben here. What's your thoughts of Ben, just individually against Tua? Who has more of the upside? Who's got a safer floor? And who do you think is a better build for your single entry GPPs?
Ben, for all of those questions.
Okay.
So that's another reason just to add on to the ridiculously long pile of why I'm not playing any Tua today. For me, just I don't see it at all, and that's a spot where most end up playing both Mike Gesicki and Devontae Parker. They're going to say, oh, well, at that point, well, for those that hand build, because the optimizer's not, for people that just use optos, Opto's not going to figure this out. So for people that end up looking at that lineup and they actually take the time to edit it, they're going to say, well, then I should be playing Tua if I'm playing two Dolphins pass catchers. And now you're investing in an offense that's going up against the Jets that realistically they can win this game 13-3. Like they don't need to. For me, it's you're not stocking the Arizona Cardinals here, guys. You're stocking the Miami Dolphins. Like I don't see it. That for me is a big no-go. And with everything that's going on in Pittsburgh and the way that the state of this offense is, there's a lot of talent on this offense. And I know Big Ben is probably like a decade past his prime, but he could still he could still get it done in this spot. So I lean Ben over Tua any day of the week.
To answer this question, I think you can look. The Bills aren't expensive, and there's not too many defenses I like paying down for. But you can maybe save $300 or $400, go to the Jaguars, and then I would have to say Joe Mixon. So if you want to come off Ben, you'd have to drop off Joe Mixon because I'd rather not come off of Deontay Johnson and Devontae Adams here. I think they have just as much of a safe floor as Mixon does. So I'd probably drop down from Mixon and pay up to get out of Ben and maybe go to Rodgers or Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray being one of the safer guys. And you can drop to play one of these Arizona, you either go to Connor potentially. I can't do the math exactly, but is that the same way you kind of build this out? I know you kind of want those three running backs. Would you be safe with going Connor with the questionable tag and all the stuff that was going into the week? Or do you really like mixing in cash?
Not in cash. So guys, cash builds are completely different than tournaments, right? So cash, you need those high roster guys. You just need to stay with the field. It does in a contest of 10,000 people where 4,500 get paid. It doesn't matter if you finished 4,499th or you finished first. You just got to cross the pay line. You win the same amount of money. So you got to stay with the field there, and you need Mike Gesicki or George Kittle today at tight end. If you don't have one of those two guys, you're playing with some serious fire. Specifically Mike Gesicki, especially with everybody that wants to, spend some money at wide receiver. Most of the field's going to be playing Mike Gesicki in cash. And that's where it's okay to have two Dolphins because everybody is going to have two Dolphins. And that doesn't matter in cash. It matters in tournaments, but it does not matter in cash. So You got to come off Principal Oshag Hannessy there and end up going to Mike Gesicki. And then you got to come down off of Mixon, and you need a Cardinals wide receiver in there. And the only two that you should be considering is Christian Kirk or AJ Green. I wrote up Christian Kirk for cash. I wrote up AJ Green for GPPs. Do the math as to why that is and what I just said about rostership, but that's that's the build that I'm going there. And for me, if you're not going Kyler and cash, you need to go like there's so many good there's so many good quarterbacks on this slate, guys. You can't be punting quarterback today. You really cannot be punting quarterback. You don't have a $5,400 Taysom Hill rushing for 150 yards today. Like that's a punt quarterback. You can't be punting quarterback.
If you do have to, it is Tua or Big Ben. If you have to and you feel like, you know what, I'll make up for it in other spots. I lean with Ghosto. Cash games is more his thing, so I'm going to trust his judgment here. If you feel confident, though, those are the only two guys that I would say. Big shout out to Vecchio. I don't know if he's listening, but he posted something in chat. He said something funny. I don't know who else tweeted it, but he shared it with everybody. He said, unfortunately, the Houston Texans and the Jacksonville Jaguars game is staying on Sunday, and I was dying laughing when he posted this morning. So big shout out to him, man. So many people love this game, and it's scary that we're going to just roster James Robinson just because Urban Meyer's out, and everybody thinks, oh, we're going back to 2020 here. Robinson's going to have a smash day after 2 terrible weeks back-to-back, but there's no other running backs to play. Like, it's really tough to find somebody else, in a situation where game script in his favor. There's nobody really behind him. The Jags are favored by 5, and Trevor Lawrence is not going to be airing out the ball here. And it's a great, little matchup against Houston. So you play James Robinson in cash, you play him in your GPPs as well, and then you play lineups without him. You just completely fade him and kind of see how the dust settles at the end of the day. You can't just completely fade him. If you're making one lineup, it's a tough call, man. Like if you go with him, go without him, I probably just play him and hope he does well. It's really nothing else to do here. I don't mind O'Shaughnessy in GPPs at 3.2. It's going to be tough sledding if Gesicki goes out there, has a monster day, or Kittle goes out and has a monster day, and there's Andrews and there's Pitts that we'll talk about soon too. So I think O'Shaughnessy and James Robinson are the two guys. We were trying to hype up Laviska for weeks upon weeks upon weeks. And maybe the one week that, Sticks is not on here is the week that Laviska goes off. For his sake, I hope he plays a share just in case he does go off, because it'd be really shitty if he goes off on this week. But Laviska, I guess, in play. I guess Marvin Jones in play. Might be a new game script. Maybe Trevor Lawrence, officially becomes an NFL quarterback this week, but I don't really see it. So the matchup is good. Nobody wants to respect Brandon Cooks. He goes out there every week and grabs, 10 points of a floor. He has 25-point upside. Good matchup against Jacksonville. I don't know if we got confirmation yet of Rex Burkhead playing, not playing. He was expected to be out, and then he got bumped to questionable, so he might be in. If everybody's got news, let us know. Not that I want to load up on Houston, but like I said, running back is so bad that maybe you take a shot at David Johnson at 4.9 over like a Michael Carter type. Brandon Cooks, Nico Collins. Nico Collins is a guy that I think is the sneakier guy in this game. If you want to try to be different for GPPs, 3.5. He makes a lot of sense. His targets are been going up week to week. And at the same time, Jags defense is the cheapest that I've gone so far when building lineups. Ghost, see it any differently? Are you in line with me? Am I missing something from this game?
Trevor Lawrence was the most highly touted quarterback coming out of college since Andrew Luck.
Ever. He's trash.
And I know the entire industry said, Urban Meyer's fired. It's James Robinson week. I get it. I understand. It is a good spot. He's an undrafted running back. Trevor Lawrence is a first overall pick that is the most highly regarded pick in the NFL draft since Andrew Luck. The Jaguars don't care if James Robinson does well. They care about getting their not even just their franchise quarterback. They care about getting their franchise cornerstone getting him into proper form, into good spirits and everything heading into next season. And they have a couple weeks to do that before they likely draft number 1 again. So he is such a talented quarterback. And now he doesn't have Urban Meyer breathing down his neck anymore. So that's where, for me, I don't like where I'm not playing James Robinson. And don't get me wrong, I am playing a lot. Where I am not playing James Robinson, I want to play Trevor Lawrence, because this could be a game where he just wants to go out there and throws for 404.
You say 404?
If he wants to, he can.
I think he wants to for the past 14 weeks. I just don't think he's physically able.
You can't when Urban Meyer's breathing down your neck. Like, he couldn't do anything. The guy had no idea what he was doing in that locker room. Now it's like, okay, everyone's free. Like, all these guys are finally free. And going up against the Texans, man, the Texans are playing for a higher draft pick too. Both these teams want a higher draft pick. So for that, this game has sneaky appeal for me. And it's not like I'm making it my main stack. It's not like I'm running to the DK lobby to go and play 5.8K Brandon Cooks. It's not what I'm doing. But what I'm saying is that we can't just completely disregard this game outside of James Robinson, because Trevor Lawrence at 5.1K, everybody playing Tua. Man,
everybody playing James Robinson.
Take that Tua build. And like, if you made a Tua tournament build, you likely stacked Parker and Gesicki. Right? I don't see anybody else that you would stack with Tua. You likely went Parker and Gesicki. And simply go Trevor Lawrence. You don't even have to pair him with a wide receiver. You can play him naked. But there is a strong chance that Trevor Lawrence, obviously, I'm just saying, like, he can throw for 606 if he wants to. He's that good. But there is a strong chance that when we keep it realistic, that he throws for 275 and 3 today. There is a very strong possibility that he goes out there and does that. And at 5.1K, you don't even need to take a chance on pairing him with Marvin Jones, pairing him with Visca, pairing him with Laquan Treadwell, who I do like at 3.3K as well. I mentioned Ray McLeod, James Washington down there at 3.5K. Laquan Treadwell as well at 3.3K has had a sneaky role in this offense because of the fact that Visca is more of a utility player, and they're realizing that he is a poor man's Deebo Samuel, a very poor man's Deebo Samuel, very, very poor man's Deebo Samuel. But that's what he is, right? And he's a very good player, but he's not going to go out there and get 14 targets and have a Deontay Johnson-esque stat line. But Laquan Treadwell is a good route runner. He was a first-round pick. He's a very good wide receiver. He just was in a terrible situation, especially in Minnesota. They have very good wide receiver appeal. And Brian, you thought I was going to go all show without taking a shot at your Eagles? Minnesota basically has every wide receiver that the Eagles wishes they had. And man, that's just the way it is with Laquan Treadwell versus Visca for me. So you can get Trevor Lawrence at 5.1K at basically unrostered because everybody's going to Tua for large field only. Am I doing this? I'll just, before anybody gets nuts there and makes this their main lineup, please don't go and do that. I'm just like, don't take it into that context. But if you are entering contests like Millie Makers, it should be number one. It should be for the purpose of having fun, because those contests are not profitable long term. Everybody knows that. We preach single entry, we preach 3 max, and picking the right contest is just as important as spending 7 days building your NFL lineups. But if you're entering a Millie Maker today, one of the quarterbacks that I would play is Trevor Lawrence, 100% of the way.
Listen, while you were ranting on Trevor Lawrence being good and the Eagles sucking, I am building a Trevor Lawrence little stack here. If you go with Shenault, with Trevor Lawrence, running back with Brandon Cooks,
you can fit everybody you want.
Yeah, I got Devontae Adams, I got Deontay Johnson. So I got my 2 stud wide receivers. I got James Conner covering the Arizona side of things. You're gonna need a cheap tight end, so I wouldn't mind, doing a little double stack and going O'Shaughnessy here.
Principal O'Shaughnessy.
Yeah, and then you got another way to. I'm gonna enter this lineup right now before I forget. Like look, this is what you do too, man. Like, I basically just read out my lineup, but you can go, and I'm not a Gaskin guy, but you can go Gaskin to get your Miami exposure. Come off of, that potential Tua to Gesicki or Tua to Devontae Parker. You fade all the Miami receivers. You fade the Arizona receivers. You go Gaskin and Connor, and then you load up on, whoever you think is in the best spot, Devontae, Debo, Deontay Johnson, and you load up there and get whatever defense you really want, or you can go pay up for Najee Harris instead of, Deontay Johnson there. And you have a pretty sexy lineup that's definitely going to be different. So I locked that in a million maker. This is for millies only. This is not for something that, you really want to go out there and, play in cash. But I'm not a Trevor Lawrence guy. I know John Jansen's been preaching Trevor Lawrence all year long to me, and I keep on ripping on him. And he finally admitted that Leonard Fournette is good at football. It took him like 14 weeks to figure that out. When I was kind of preaching that all season, prior to season long, that you got to get shares of Tampa Bay's run game. He kept on thinking it's going to be Ronald Jones, but it's not. Connor and Ertz are both active. I'm not really going to go to Ertz here, but I think James Conner, I'm going to play him. Definitely going to play shares of him, throughout some lineups to get off of some of the chalk here. Carolina, no thank you. Big shout out to Rocker. Got to hang out with him on Friday. He's a big fan of Scam Newton, so he is definitely not going to let us play Cam here. Not a good matchup. Don't really want to play anybody from Carolina's side. Buffalo has to win this game. They really, really got to win this game. Josh Allen looks banged up, though, man. Like, really looked banged up. He's giving it his all. I'm staying away here. I wouldn't be shocked if, Josh Allen's the highest scoring quarterback on the slate, and I'll get a share out of every 10, 15 lineups. I'll make one Josh Allen lineup probably with, Stephon Diggs still. But I know everybody's on Gabe Davis, and he is popping in the optimizer. He's popping in projection models, but probably don't get there in Gabe Davis. I don't really see it. He's not getting a lot of targets. There's still Cole Beasley in front of him, and obviously Diggs in front of him, and Dawson Knox in front of him. But Ghost, talk about Allen, man. Are we all sleeping on Allen here? Should we have more shares of Allen? Carolina's defense is good, but Bills are favored by 12.5, projected to score 28, and nobody's talking about the Bills.
Right. I wrote up Josh Allen for GPPs because of that point that no one's playing him, and they absolutely need to win this game, especially with the fact that they had the luxury of watching the Patriots lose last night. So things kind of shift where now it's completely in their control. And when you're in a locker room, that's exactly what you want. When you're talking with the boys in the locker room about moving up in standings or possible playoff seeding, we all do it, right? I know people say you can't think about that stuff. I'm telling you right now, we all do it in the locker room. And when you're talking with the guys about stuff like that, the number one thing that you want to avoid is saying, well, we need someone else to do this. You want everything in your control. And now it is, because the Patriots played before Buffalo this week. So granted, there's still a little bit of season to go here, but this is where Buffalo's offense got to get things going. The only thing that I hate about playing Josh Allen this season compared to last season and every other year that I've been playing Josh Allen, he spreads out the ball so much since they brought in Emmanuel Sanders. And that, for me, it's like, if I'm playing him, I don't even want to pair him with Stephon Diggs, because you're paying 7.7 for Stephon Diggs. That means you're likely not playing Rodgers. And that, I'm serious about Aaron Rodgers when I'm playing him over Dak. So what was I saying? Yeah, it's just they spread out the ball so much, and if you're playing Allen and you pair him with Stephon Diggs, that means you're not playing one of Devontae Adams, bold, or the logical pivot is that you're not playing Deontay Johnson. And can you stomach that? Can you stomach the fact that you need Stephon Diggs to outscore Deontay Johnson this week? It could happen. Stephon Diggs is it is a top 3, if not the best route runner in the entire league. Personally, I think he is the best route runner in the entire league, and he could absolutely cook any secondary that he goes on. But again, you're paying up 7.7 for Stephon Diggs on DK. You need him to absolutely go nuts for him to outscore Deontay Johnson and other wide receivers in that 7K range. So that, for me, is why I have I have one Allen lineup. It's literally one, and I played him naked. That's it, just in case. You look at the ridiculous 220, 230, 240 DK lineup, and you're like, man, who is that? Who is that guy that went nuts? And then you see Josh Allen leading his slate in scoring. You're gonna say it's just another NFL Sunday because it could happen any week.
Yep.
So that's the only exposure I have to this game is Josh Allen alone, and this game is completely off my board outside of that. That's it.
Yeah, so let me just paint a picture of how gross this might end up being when we're all said and done on Sunday. Could you imagine a day where 35% of the field, maybe 40% of the field roster James Robinson? Robinson goes out there, scores under 10, and everybody who ate the Jeff Wilson chalk the last couple weeks doesn't play him at 5K, and Jeff Wilson in a game where the Niners are favored by 10 at 5K with no Eli Mitchell, he goes out there, scores 2 touchdowns, runs for like 65, 70, but scores 2 touchdowns in a game that Shanahan wants to stick it to the Falcons. I don't want to play Jeff Wilson, but like something in the side of my gut says there's a way that he gets there. And nobody's talking about Wilson after everybody's been talking about him for so many weeks. And that's how the NFL works, man. It's like when you come off somebody who's been chalked the last couple of weeks, he goes out there and has a big game. I'm not in love with the play at all. I think Debo is in a great spot. I think George Kittle, great spot. I think Brandon Ayuk, sneaky at that price tag. Nobody's playing him. And if Debo's lining up at the running back position, Ayuk is technically the number 1 wide receiver on this team right now. I think Jimmy Garoppolo is sneaky. I haven't played Cordarrelle all year. This is the week that he kind of makes sense to me, because they're going to be playing from behind here. And Atlanta is somehow, some way fighting to stay in playoff contention. So, like, this game is going to be played like a very important game. So, these guys are all going to be playing to the last second. And Kyle Pitts is finally at a price point that he becomes interesting. Like, the San Francisco defense is in play too. So it's like this game could be very, very interesting for DFS. I think this is one of the sneakier games on the slate. In the 4 o'clock games, I like 2 out of the 3 a bunch. And this is one of them where I can be sold on pretty much every player here outside of Matt Ryan. Russell Gage, I'm not in love with it, but he's been doing work. 5.8, nobody's playing him. Nobody's playing Pitts. Nobody's playing Cordarrelle. Running back is so suspect. And like I said, Jeff Wilson can get there too. And then Kittle's the best play on this team. And at 7.5, he's tough to afford when everybody's playing Gesicki and everybody wants to pay up for Devontae Adams or Deontay Johnson and one running back potentially. So Kittle's a tough get here at 7,500. So Ghost, man, I think this game is a game that if you get this game right, you will have extreme leverage over the field because it's a tough game to kind of narrow down the right plays for.
Yeah, I have a decent amount on George Kittle. He was one of 3 tight ends that I wrote up this week, so I definitely have a lot of George Kittle, and I was there for the explosion game. That was pretty nuts on the show. It said I'm shipping all chips on George Kittle, and I very rarely go 100% exposure on a player, and that week I just went 100% George Kittle in GPPs, and that really paid off. And this week I'm likely doing the same. I'm just going 50-50 him and Gesicki, and that's it, because I landed on more Deontay Johnson than I thought I would. And now Pat Fry is kind of on the outside looking in my lineup. So I do have a lot of George Kittle. I understand the Wilson call. That's the classic DFS where someone is stone chalk the week before and then the week after he just goes for 25 DK. It's absolutely iconic and it happens every time. The one thing I will say about Jeff Wilson is that his knees are really banged up. That's the only thing. And last week it really showed. He wasn't as explosive as he is when he was hitting the hole, and it shows in his yards per carry. And he was getting stuffed at the line quite a bit more. Like he couldn't break that first tackle, and that for me, it's not a deal breaker because you'll be lucky if Atlanta meets you at the line, let alone meets you at the 10 yards past the line, because their defense is just atrocious. This whole organization is atrocious, but just I don't know if I can get there with the way that San Francisco's been airing out the ball lately. That's the only thing. So I tend to lean more of a 1-2 on the flip side. I just don't want to play any of these Falcons. That's the thing. So I'm kind of limiting it to George Kittle, and that's about it. But I do get the Wilson play. Absolutely.
Yeah, I think everybody for San Fran is going to be on their own outside of Kittle. And I think Kittle will still be on their own because people like Gesicki and want to pay up for Devontae Adams here. So I think San Fran, man, is a way to get different enough in your lineups. I know some people, some sharp people are going to be playing some Ayuk. Some people are going to take, Deebo Samuel, probably the most explosive player in the league or one of the most explosive players. Like, if you look at his stat lines on DK, it almost looks like they got it switched up. Like, he's actually running the ball more than he's catching the ball. And he's obviously one of the best wide receivers in the game. He's just doing what he has to do for his team to win right now. So Deebo, nobody's playing this guy, man. So I think anytime you got one of the best athletes in the league and people are coming off him for good reason, like everybody was going to lock Cooper Kupp, and he was $9,000. So the easy thing that the average novice player will just do, just going to go in there and just slide down to Devontae Adams. It makes a lot of sense. Devontae's in a smash spot, but he's going to be the most popular guy. So in GPPs, just don't forget about Deebo, man. Like, he can run 2 in, he can catch for 2, and I think Shanahan's going to stick it to the Falcons here. So they won't let up, and this is a big, big game for the Niners. So, like, if this game stays close, and Atlanta's fighting for playoff contention too. So I like this game for sneakiness. Garoppolo is even in play too. Like Ghost said, they're airing the ball out, and they're going to have no problem airing the ball out against the Falcons. You could see another 300-yard game from Garoppolo here. Are you taking any shots at Garoppolo in GPPs?
No, but that's a personal thing. I can't ever
Jimmy
play
G
Jimmy.
love?
I can't ever play Jimmy G. But sorry
Listen,
to
man,
go off topic a bit. But
296, 299 last 2 games, and now he faces Atlanta. Like, there's
no, I can't. Like if there's ever a week where I would play him, it would be this week because Shanahan's gonna want to drop 49 on Atlanta. So
yeah,
and like I said, they have been airing out the ball a ton. So I don't mind it. It's just a personal thing where I can't play Jimmy G. But just to circle back to another game, Ty Johnson is a surprising scratch for the Jets. And the only running back that's behind Michael Carter now is Tevin Coleman.
So look, man, terrible though. It's like, do you really want to get sucked into a Jet player? So talk to me about Michael Carter. So he's had some big games though.
You can play Michael Carter in cash now.
What about GPPs at 4.7? How interesting does he become? Because when he was in this spot before, all by himself, he had a monster game when he caught 9 passes. He's catching balls out of the backfield. He's had some good games on the ground. He could get in the end zone, but he is a New York Jet still at the same time. So, but here's Sia going in on Michael Carter, man. Sia, if you want to talk about Michael Carter, we can open the airlines for you. You can hop in and get us your 5-minute Jet whisper of love. You sucked me into Keelan Cole last week, so if you do it again, man, it better pay off on Michael Carter, man. So if you want on, man, I can send you the link and you talk about Michael Carter. But look, it's cheap, man. It really is cheap at 4.7. Are you pivoting at all, Ghost, with this news? Because this is where it comes down to. You get this late news. You got your lineups where like, oh, I'm really feeling good about this lineup, but now you're saying, damn, if I slide Michael Carter in, I can maybe upgrade X wide receiver to Y player, or maybe upgrade my defense from a trash D to maybe a solid D. What's your thoughts here on Carter, man? Are you pivoting yet?
I don't know. It's to be determined. I don't want to because I know the rest of the field is going to run to go and do that, and I don't want to do that.
All right. Let's get.
I don't know. You can absolutely play him in cash because he's likely going to be you could go Carter Robinson in cash now because he's going to be right up there with James Robinson in terms of rostership, and then that'll let you get up to Kyler Murray. So the only thing is that
I'll say this.
It's just where do you get like at that point? Do you play? I'll kick it to you with this. Do you play James Robinson with him? That's the one thing, like a yes or no question. Do you play James Robinson?
Yeah, look, I don't get into
Because
that
then you're
kind of stuff.
playing
Yeah.
like the reason why I'm saying is that you're playing two 30% rostered quarterbacks, running backs, and then the reason why you're doing that to save salary is because you want to play Devontae Adams and Deontay Johnson. It's like at that point that's a cash build. Like
Yeah.
everybody's going to do that. That's where, and there's a running back that I'm going to talk about that I want to play a little bit,
At the same,
like right in that Michael Carter range. So
let me ask
to
you a
be
question
determined.
though. If it's between playing Michael Carter and a fringe wide receiver, wherever he lands up, or upgrading from or downgrading, however you want to put it, from Gaskin to Carter to upgrade somebody else. How do you compare Gaskin to Carter? Because I feel like a lot of people already locked Robinson. He's in there. They're not going to mess with that. But now they're thinking, ooh, if I come off of a 5K, 6K running back, now I can upgrade my tight end maybe to Gesicki, or upgrade my defense or a wide receiver spot if I go down to Carter from Gaskin.
Gaskin's really gross. So
Yeah,
that's a big no for me
that's the
this
only thing
week.
I'm saying.
That's
Like
a
he's
big no for me.
yeah. So you don't mind downgrading from Gaskin to Carter and then upgrading a wide receiver or tight end that you might have had on, like, if it was like going from Nico Collins to Devontae Parker to come off of Gaskin to go down to Carter, does something like that make sense to you?
Yes, but there's another running back that's $100 cheaper
All right, let's
than
talk
Myles
about
Gaskin that I want to play.
let's talk
So I don't
about
know.
Devonta Freeman. I know who it is. I'll let the cat out of the bag. Devonta Freeman is the run back that a lot of sharp people are on. I'm on him as well. I'm loading up on Aaron Rodgers. Early in the week, I was shocked to see his ownership. It might creep up now with all the shifting of the games. Last game on the slate, call out the hammer, 425 start. Devontae Adams is probably going to be one of the highest owned players on the slate. Like I said, Cooper Kupp was going to be that guy. Now you combine all the ownership that was on Cooper. You add that to Devontae Adams, and Adams is going to be super popular. Fade him at your own risk. He's in my lineup. He's in most of my lineups, and locking him up. I'm not playing the Aaron Jones, A.J. Dillon game. We haven't got word on Lamar Jackson. I don't know how much it really hurts or helps Devonta Freeman if Lamar Jackson is in or out. I just lost the AirPods. I got to go grab that in a second. But Devonta Freeman, man, you can talk about him. You can talk about your love for Aaron Rodgers. And keep going, man, because this is the game that at 43.5, I think the over is in a good spot, man. If Chicago, I don't know what the hell happened with Chicago. I don't know how they put up all those points, but if Chicago put up all those points, that means the Ravens could put up points here. Big game for both sides for playoffs. Ravens only projected to score 18, which is a little bit worrisome with Devonta Freeman, but at 5,500, he's getting the touches. As long as he doesn't get vultured by a touchdown, I think he's in a good spot. And then you also got Mark Andrews to talk about. So talk about these guys real quick.
I absolutely love Devonta Freeman. That's the running back that I was alluding to in the last 10 minutes, about in that right above Michael Carter range. And when you mentioned Myles Gaskin and guys like that, playing Devonta Freeman in that range, I have a lot of Devonta Freeman. The workload has been absolutely ridiculous. I'll give just instead of giving a full breakdown, go and read the GPP article, please. I haven't written a longer paragraph for any other player in
Devonta Freeman got it.
in that article. Devonta Freeman got the longest analysis in that article, so please go and read that in the GPP article. Needless to say, I absolutely love Devonta Freeman this week, and Aaron Rodgers is my top quarterback today for tournaments. Just completely under rostered on this slate where the quarterback position is decently loaded. I get it. We don't have Mahomes, we don't have Herbert, but it's really deep, and that's always a good week to be able to take the 3, 4, 5% rostered guys like Aaron Rodgers, because they have just as much, if not more, upside than guys that are at the top of the pricing grid. So for me to be able to get Aaron Rodgers in a game where he's 4 touchdowns shy of tying Brett Favre's record for the Packers for most touchdowns. The Ravens do not have a single cornerback active. Jimmy Smith just got ruled out. They don't have a single corner that is active to guard Devontae Adams.
Yeah.
That's a problem. Needless to say, that is a problem. So these two, everyone knows what happened in the offseason with both Devontae Adams and Aaron Rodgers. Devontae Adams was on his side. Rodgers was reaching to Adams, both of them possibly leaving together after the season, the one last ride thing, everything. Like, this has the storybook written all over it where the Packers potentially win the Super Bowl. And it would be absolutely iconic for Aaron Rodgers to tie that record today. And the Ravens don't have a single cornerback active. I'll say it for the third time. They don't have it. So for me, everyone's playing Devontae Adams. Nobody's playing Aaron Rodgers. I don't get it. I understand Devontae Adams used to be the safest wide receiver in fantasy football this season. It's Cooper Kupp there, but Devontae Adams is still that number one guy. And everybody in the field is playing him. And you likely should be playing him as well. That's chalk that I'm willing to eat. But pairing him with a 3, 4, 5% roster Aaron Rodgers for me is my number one move in tournaments. And then I'm taking that exact same lineup and I'm going Dak, keeping Devontae Adams in there, and I'm going one of CeeDee Lamb or Amari Cooper. That is how I'm starting every single tournament build. And this game is my favorite game on the slate by far.
Yeah, look, I love the Devontae Adams, Aaron Rodgers stack. It's in my main lineup right now. Just to go over some props, man, if you guys haven't downloaded the Sharp app, make sure you go download the app. It's completely free. It not only has a prop finder, you can type in a name like Devonta Freeman and see what his rushing props are for every single sportsbook out there. So you might see it at 55 on DraftKings, at 60 on another site. So if you bet props, you definitely want to use that. Same thing with all of our lines. Our lines, you'll see every single sportsbook in your state legal, and it's a big difference with props. It's a big difference with just regular lines. We also got betting handles on there, so you'll see where the public is betting. You'll see where the Sharp people are betting. We have pro picks on there. So many tools to check out, so make sure you check out the Sharp app. I'm looking at some props right now just to kind of give people a feel of what Vegas is thinking. I know you guys are looking at our optimizer, our projection models, reading ghosted articles and everybody else's articles, but Devonta Freeman, 55.5 rushing prop right now on DraftKings. Interesting guys, though, I'm going to just mention so everyone can kind of take notice. Jeff Wilson, the guy I mentioned about 5 minutes ago, 64.5 rushing prop. Nobody's playing this dude. I think he's good for GPPs. I'm going to talk about this guy in a second. Joe Mixon, 69.5. Michael Carter is at 49.5. I don't know if DraftKings hit this up yet. I don't know what the move has been, but Myles Gaskin only 54.5. So everybody's loading up on Myles Gaskin when a guy like Jeff Wilson is 64.5. So I think that's really interesting there. Ghost, I don't know if you've checked, but I'll put you on the spot right now. What do you think James Robinson rushing prop is without looking? I hope you haven't looked. You know what it is?
I'm going to say they probably have it stupid high.
What's stupid to you?
I'll say like 78.5.
82.5. That's why he is the chalk, man. 82.5 is pretty kind of crazy. Zeke at 55, Saquon at 53, Najee Harris at 68. So James Robinson, who's one of the cheapest running backs on the slate, got the highest rushing prop, and it's not even close to anybody else. And for him to outpace Najee Harris by 13 yards, I guess Jacksonville handed over the playbook to Vegas and said, all right, we're going to run a lot of James Robinson here. So makes a lot of sense. I know some sharp people are on James Robinson, so I wouldn't get off James Robinson. You know, you eat the chalk there, 82.5. You can fade him at your own risk. But let's talk about the last game. We kind of skipped over it because we wanted to talk about Devonta Freeman and some Aaron Rodgers. It is the Broncos and Bengals, man. Look, Mixon is interesting. It's cute. It makes sense. He's one of the only bell cows. Nobody's playing him. 7.2 on DraftKings. I haven't been chasing Jamar Chase too much, man. Like the drops, the inconsistencies, the fact that T. Higgins is there, Tyler Boyd's there, Uzomah gets some touches. You know, Burrow's been a little bit back and forth. And I respect the Broncos defense. So I kind of just like crossed off this game. And it looks like Javonte and Melvin Gordon are both playing here. So for that being said, I'm kind of off this game 100%. I won't hate anybody for playing Mixon or Chase or taking a shot on Williams or Gordon. They're kind of splitting shares. If one of those guys ends up being out and I have, you know, roster construction that allows me to kind of pivot off and move around, I do like either or, Javonte or Melvin Gordon. I think they're both still playable regardless because the matchup is pretty good here. Goes anybody you love in this game though, because it's not too sexy for me. I think these defenses, for at least Denver side of thing, is pretty solid.
If you are playing large field, I'm not touching anyone in this game in single entry. I wrote up Joe Mixon. I'm not touching anyone in single entry, but in large field contests, the Bengals are the other stack that I'm playing, other than
Really?
Trevor Sunshine Lawrence. Joe Burrow is a certified stud. Jamar Chase, go Tigers. And obviously it's not a Sunday without playing T. Higgins. Everyone knows that. But just to paint the picture a little bit, the AFC North is still very much up for grabs. So if the Ravens lose to the Packers today, which now Lamar is trending to doubtful.
Ooh, that might be a plus for them though. Like Huntley's been playing pretty damn good, man. I don't know if that's like an extreme negative here.
If Huntley gets a start, by the way, like when Lamar is confirmed out, I'm adding Rashad Bateman to my player pool.
Okay.
But yeah, just come back to the AFC North and since seeing how important this game is. So they are one game back of the Ravens. If the Ravens lose today versus the Packers and the Bengals win this game, they jump to first in the AFC North. And next week, guess who they play? The Ravens. So the winner of that game is going to be in good shape. But the Bengals have to win both of these games because they got the Chiefs coming up in week 17. So that's where...
Are the Chiefs good at football again? Ghost, are they good now or no? Because everybody said they're bad at football. Are they good now? Are the Patriots good? Are the Colts good? Which of these teams are actually good?
We never said like who was good and who was bad, and we kept stocking the Chiefs, especially in DFS. But a bet that I grabbed, it didn't really. Anyways, never really spoken about this before. But when the Chiefs were 1-3 or something, like I remember they were last in their division. And the books put them at, I think I got it at -125 or -120 for them to win the division because the Chargers started out hot out of the gate and the Raiders started out hot out of the gate, and I absolutely hammered that. And now it's gonna be it's gonna be a fun Christmas, that's for sure.
The Chargers should have definitely beat them the other day. That was a shit show. We were all on the Chargers.
That was rough.
And someone made
that was the right side. That was 100% the right side because I remember even I was telling my friends, you guys like all the sharp money's coming in on the Chargers, and a lot of the guys like the Chargers. I'm not touching this game. I'm just having a beer. I'm gonna watch the game, and that's it. I'm not touching it tonight. But I was like, if I would bet, I would likely be putting my money on the Chargers. And then they were like, oh, but we really like the Chiefs, this and that. And I was like, look, then just don't bet it, right? Like if you're stuck on it, just don't bet it. And then they were like, man, the Chargers were 100% the right call. It's just that had to be like the flukiest cover ever, right? So everyone knows the Chargers were the right side in that one. And that's
last 2 weeks, man, like our two biggest bets, on the Sharp app, or one of the two biggest bets, me and Steve were on. We were on the Buffalo Bills against Tampa, which was like, we were out of it. Then it was like, we're going to crush. This is so easy. And then it's like a lock. And then it becomes a lock again. And then it goes to OT. It was like, okay, as long as they don't walk us off here, we win it. And then
Tom Brady walks you off.
We got hit by that. And then on the backside of things, the next bet we bet were the Chargers, or one of the next big bets we bet. And that looks so good. They kick one damn field goal. We're good. They don't throw a pick or fumble at the 1 yard line. We're good. So it was two bad beats in a row, but we got some plays today. So make sure you go download the Sharp app. Let's answer some questions here. See you putting out. Look, I think I'm gonna slide in some Jeff Wilson, man. I don't have much San Fran exposure. It might sound crazy to some, but I'm gonna slide in some Jeff Wilson. If you pair him up with Robinson, I think it's a way to get a little bit different. A lot of people are gonna hop on Michael Carter. And I'm looking at the weather here too. Not to say that it's anything to really worry about, but it's going to be raining in Miami. There are going to be some downpours, and the Jets suck. So anything that like adjusts negatively to the Jets, it's just going to make them suck even more. So like you said earlier, this game could be like 9-0. The Jets don't score 1 point, And Michael Carter, he gets all these touches, but he goes nowhere with it. But sometimes the rain works the other way around. If you're, elusive running back, you can just cut people up. You know where you're going. They don't know where you're going. And you can break one for a long one. So the rain kind of works both ways. There's going to be some rain in Jacksonville as well. Maybe that helps James Robinson. I don't think it's going to be, anything to really worry about. Buffalo is going to be cold. Temps below freezing, 10-mile-an-hour wind, cold. Cam Newton's going to definitely struggle. He is weak. He does not like cold weather. He doesn't like throwing the ball. He doesn't like holding on to the ball. And Rocker always says, he's kind of a scam at the quarterback position at this point of his career. So big shout out to Rocker. If he's listening, he's probably out there watching his daughters play soccer right now. So we'll see if he responds. But like Sia says, weather is pretty good in Miami right now. Rain won't come in a little bit later, so maybe not much to worry about. Miles, you're asking about 3K defense. If you got 3,100, I like San Fran. I like Buffalo as well. If you got to go under, if you're talking DK, look, you got to take a shot probably on Jacksonville. You get that correlation right with James Robinson. It makes sense. I'm not too worried about Houston. Any other defenses that you like, go. So if you have to, bottom feed, there's not much to pick from, man. It's not like, one of these cheap defenses make a lot of sense today, but it's defense. So take a couple shots. Who do you be taking a shot in under 3K?
I'm taking a shot on the Bengals at 29.
Okay, makes sense.
And the only thing with the Jags are playing Houston, just keep in mind that the Jags defense is arguably even worse than Houston's offense, right? So when it comes to
playing Buffalo,
that's apparently exactly. So it's slim pickings when it comes to below 3K. I would try and do I hate making changes in my lineups for a DST, but my most used defense this week is San Fran at 3,100.
Yeah, I like San Fran a lot. It's just sometimes you just in this situation, he's got another guy has 2,900 left. I think you just go Jacksonville. They're going to be popular, or you can go Cincinnati. Denver, look, they're winning games, but it's not like they're blowing the doors off here. And they've had some good games, but they also have had some bad games. It's still Teddy Two Gloves out there throwing the ball. He can make mistakes. It's probably cold in Denver right now. It is December. So they're only projected to score 23 on Denver. So for a cheap defense, you don't need much. And we've seen, wild things happen. Kick block, kick return, anything like that. So I don't know if I would switch.
Don't just go back to that lineup.
Which one up here?
Was it?
Yeah.
Yeah. You don't have a Cardinal in that lineup. So move J-Rob to running back. In this case, you come off Devonta Freeman because it's more important to have a Cardinal than it is to have Devonta Freeman. That says a lot with how high I am with Devonta Freeman. And you slide in either AJ Green or Christian Kirk. Either one of them leaves you exactly 3,100 left for defense, and you go San Fran.
There you go. No, I like that call there. Ghost always on it right there. And also, if you want to come off 49ers, I think Buffalo's defense steps up here. Cam is struggling to keep the ball in his hands and not throwing picks or fumbling. It's going to be cold out there. Buffalo, it's they have to win. They've been not playing so well. Defensively, they lit up 41 points against Indianapolis, 33 to Tampa, even 17 to the Jets seems like too much. So the defense needs to step up here at home. So I don't mind them, but I do like the 49ers better. Ghost, we're pretty much done here. Can ask a couple more questions if anything comes up here, but give me, and I know you and Sticks play this game. What do you do? Cash GPP for each, each
so you gotta
position.
You gotta go favorite for each position, except we leave out DST because DST should not be in DFS. But anyways, that's my.
You lead it. You ask me the questions. I'll follow along. I'll try to play this game, and I'll try to do my best Sticks impersonation. So I'll drink my tea with two hands while we're doing this.
Two hands on the wheel. Always two hands on the wheel, unless you're on one knee. That's where you're allowed to have one hand on the wheel. But so I'll kick it to you to start. Favorite cash quarterback and favorite GPP quarterback. If you'd like 2, 3.
Yeah, I would say favorite cash quarterback. I would go with Kyler Murray, and I would still pair him with one of his pass catchers, probably AJ Green or Christian Kirk there. GPPs, I got the most of Aaron Rodgers. I'm taking a couple shots on Big Ben. I think Garoppolo in the right spot makes some sense as well. So that's where I'm going with quarterbacks right now.
Cash, I'm going Kyler, and GPPs, I'm going Aaron Rodgers and Dak.
Okay.
Favorite running backs, Cash and GPP.
Cash running back, you just got to go James Robinson. Like I just said, man, like his rushing prop is over everybody. 5,400, change of coach. Hopefully he goes back to 2020 version James Robinson here. 5,400 against the worst or one of the worst running defenses in the league. And then, look, I really don't want to play Myles Gaskin. I really don't want to play Michael Carter. So as crazy as it sounds, I'm going to take some shots on Jeff Wilson. Just putting it out there. Could be wrong, could be right. I do have Devonta Freeman in a bunch of lineups as well. And I like James Conner. He's expected to play now. He's 6,400. Like I said earlier, if you're watching the show, if there was no injury in the last play of the game and he came into this game 6,400 against the Lions, favored by a bunch of points, he would be the most popular running back. So I like James Conner. So Robinson, Conner, Devonta Freeman, and Jeff Wilson are going to be the guys I go to. I don't blame anybody if you go play Myles Gaskin or Carter. I think they can both get there, but I'm going to lean the other four guys before them.
In cash, you have to go James Robinson with Michael Carter, as gross as it is, because they're both going to be over 70% roster in cash games. So you need that pairing. And in tournaments, said James Conner is the running back that I have the most exposure to. It's James Conner for me all day long. Favorite wide receiver, Cash and GPP.
Cash, Devontae Adams. It was supposed to be Cooper Kupp, and I'll definitely going to play him on whatever slate he ends up being on. He's going to smash. But Odell's back, so we'll talk about that another day. Devontae Adams, Cash. And I still think you got to find a way to get Devontae and Deontay in your cash lineups as well. So I like them both for GPP.
Parker with that too? You're just going
Devontae,
Deontay. You're making all three of them together.
I didn't even realize, but in my main lineup, that's the trio that I'm going with. That's the trio I made last night. So Devontae, all spelled differently. So they don't all spell their names the same. So have fun spelling. One has a capital V, one goes with the E. But yeah, that's the trio I'm going with. But if you want to get a little bit different, I'm not going Gabe Davis. I don't like that too much. But let's not forget Christian Kirk and AJ Green. And, those two guys are pretty much in most of my lineups too. And I don't mind double stacking it because if you're not playing Kyle Murray or you're not playing James Conner, I do think you probably still need two. Zack Ertz playing now. I don't know how bad this hamstring injury is, but I still love these Cardinals wide receivers too. So that's like all the Devontaes and Deontays and then all the Arizona wide receivers. I think if you stick to that, that's in a good spot. If you want to get cute, you can play one of these Jags wide receivers or Brandon Cooks or Nico Collins. And one guy that we didn't mention at all, just to throw it out there, we haven't mentioned this dude's name, but if Devontae Parker and Gesicki somehow bust or whatever, Albert Wilson for GPPs, he could find a way to get there. The guy has like elusive, crazy speed. So if he's out there with no Waddle, and Tua can't throw the ball, like, Ghost, you said it before. He doesn't really throw the ball deep. So Albert Wilson might take on more of that, Waddle type of role. So I'm just going to throw that out there for GPPs. He does make some sense too.
So for cash, you have to go Devontae squared, Devontae Parker, Devontae Adams. I'll give you guys two, the three that I'm rostering. And then for GPPs, obviously Devontae Adams, but the other guys that I'm targeting are Amari Cooper, CeeDee Lamb, Allen Lazard. And for punts, if Lamar is no-go, I will have a decent amount of Rashad Bateman.
Let me throw two other guys in there too, just in case we forgot. Deebo Samuel is still good at football, and Ayuk as well. Those two guys, throw them in GPPs. I forgot about those guys. Tight ends, man, there's a lot of them.
Going?
And we didn't even talk about Mark Andrews at all. Like we kind of skipped over that guy. In cash games, it's tough, man. It really is tough because I don't want two Miami guys. So if I'm going Parker, I really don't want to go Gesicki. And then if I'm in a situation where I paid up in other spots, it's tough to get Kittle. But those are the two guys, like you said. Those are going to be the two prime targets for cash and GPPs for me. If you don't go there and you go with a Green Bay stack, Mark Andrews is still that guy. I think Kyle Pitts is interesting too. And Freiermuth, if you decide to fade Deontay Johnson or Najee Harris. And I also forgot about one guy. I didn't even know this guy played football, I'll be honest with you, but see him mention him. I'm probably not going to spell his last name, but Josiah De Guarra for Green Bay, man. Like, I have him in a lineup or two, man, for GPPs, 2,700. How crazy is Sia for selling me on him late last night at around like 12:30 in the morning on Sirius? Any love for this dude, or is Sia crazy for selling me, and am I crazy for rostering him?
I'll never call Sia crazy.
Okay.
So
All
if
right.
he says it, Sia's the man.
Any shots there? Like, what's your thoughts on him now at 2,700? Any?
Tell you what, if you're playing Principal Oshag Hennessy, played him instead.
Okay, all right.
Do that. If you're on a lineup where you're like, oh man, I have to play him, just do it.
17.5 receiving yard prop, not terrible.
So just if you don't want to play him, just place a bet on that. Get your exposure there. Do that.
It was just one lineup I remember building late last night where it's like I couldn't get to 2,900. He just worked. So, and it was a Rodgers lineup. So like, all right, just give him 4 catches. Why not? It works out. But go through tight ends, man.
Mike Gesicki, end of list.
Really?
That's it.
100%?
100%.
You playing any shares of him with Parker in the same lineup, or he's just solo? You playing them together? That's how much you love Tua. You're confident in 2 pass catchers on the Dolphins, huh?
No, I'm not confident in Tua. I'm confident in the fact that Tua can't throw the ball further than 4 yards down the field, and it's going to be a ridiculous amount of PPR points for those guys. So I don't even need them to get in the box. But yeah,
there you go, man. Do we talk about defenses too, or
there's no love for defenses. There's no love for defenses because defenses shouldn't even be a part of DFS. But there's no love for defenses. Defenses. I'll bring this one back from last season. Defenses are like a car when you drive it off the lot. Game starts, you're like, oh man, my defense is going negative. Like it's just, I hate
like they used to whatever one did for me last week. And
you can put whatever one. Like there was a time last season I remember people were playing the Jets defense like 4 weeks in a row because they were the stone cold minimum.
But they were paying off last year too, man. They were trying to.
They were getting like 3 to 4 points. They were
trying to win games so they don't get Trevor Lawrence because they're such a smart organization that they knew like Zach Wilson was going to be so good that they wanted him over Trevor Lawrence, and they won these meaningless games like a bunch of boneheads. But that's the New York Jets for you, guys. I'll ask you one more question or 2 more questions before we head out of here. Number 1, Millie Maker lineup, man.
Trevor
Who's
Lawrence.
Going to be the That's the guy. Naked Trevor Lawrence, like with just like his hair flowing, or you stack him up with somebody?
What was the full question?
Who's going to be on the Millie Maker lineup that takes down $1 million? Not for sticks, because that's going to be like a traditional, nice, easy 200-man lineup. Millie Maker.
Any position at all?
Yeah, any position, man. Whoever you feel most confident that's going to take down 192,000 other people and turn $20 into $1 million.
I want to say Trevor Lawrence so badly, but I think it'll be.
He already did, man. Miles beat you to it. Trevor Lawrence without no J-Rob. Yeah, that makes sense.
I'm keeping my answer. It's I'm just trying to. No, you know what? It's going to be Trevor Lawrence with all of these skilled position players. That's what it's going to be.
His or other skill like Devontae Adams, Deontay Johnson, all the Devontae?
with all the pay-ups that everybody wants to jam in. The keys to the castle.
Look, you make sense, man. At 5,100, you don't need much, man. And we saw it so many times, like last year, Trubisky or worse quarterback. I don't know if there's worse quarterbacks than Trevor Lawrence, but like some bad quarterbacks actually got there for a Millie Maker takedowns. I think Bridgewater did it once or twice. Trubisky definitely did it a couple times. So if Lawrence runs one in, man, Cam's done it before. I don't hate it, man. I built the Trevor Lawrence lineup earlier today while we're talking. If it hits for $1 million, I'll throw you 10%. So you get your 100K Canadian, which ends up being like $1 million anyways. So we're good on that. I think GPPs, man, taking down. It's not a long shot, but I really like Deontay Johnson. I feel like there's enough narratives there for him to get there. And my gut's kind of saying Jeff Wilson. I don't know why it's saying it.
So
I don't
build that
know.
with sunshine.
Trevor,
Build that
and
with sunshine.
I'll make one Trevor Wilson stack and see what
Yeah,
happens, and
then you
I'll
could
fade James
you could
Robinson in that one
there
and
you
load
go.
up with every single guy that's
There you
out there. I'm
go.
gonna build it right now, but Ghost,
That's the
appreciate
one.
you, man. I will definitely talk to you before the holidays. But for everybody who's
Absolutely.
listening, like, subscribe, hop in Discord. We'll be answering questions for another 45 minutes. We got football tomorrow. We got football tonight. We got football Tuesday and Thursday. We got Chris. I'm assuming we have Christmas games, but it's got to be on Saturday. And then we
Yeah,
have
man.
Sunday.
It's
So we have
Jordan Nora versus Kent Bazemore. Can't miss basketball. Christmas Day.
Oh man. What happened to Drew Holiday, man? I played him last night, 30% roster, and he just got
I
pulled
don't
off
know.
the slate. So
They're just he
let's
didn't go
not.
through. What a disaster. It's a
Yeah,
mess.
disaster it was, but it's a big day, man. Good luck to everybody out there. Good luck to Sticks. Hopefully, I didn't get you off any plays. Don't play Jeff Wilson. Don't blame me later, Sticks. And go out there. Everybody have a happy holidays. Make some money. Hop in our expert chat. Check out the projection models, lineup optimizers, and yeah, we'll be playing some NBA basketball a little bit later too. So gonna make Ghost force in some NBA lines after NFL tips off. Ghost, appreciate you, man. We're out of
Thanks for
here.
coming
Hop
on,
in
bro. It was a
Discord.
blast.
Later, bro.